We have cast on 60 stitches, and so now we're going to join in the round so we can start knitting our hat. I have a little bit of my long tail left, and this I want to make sure I'm not going to knit with that. I'm going to knit with the yarn which is coming out of my skein over here. And I'm just going to ignore my tail. That's called your tail. Alright, before you join in the round, being careful not to twist, you want to make sure all your stitches are going in the same direction. And so you see how there's this V looking thing, sort of diagonal stitches. That's the right side of the work. That's the knit side of the work. And if you look on the back, it's bumpy. That's sometimes called the wrong side or the purl side of the work. So to join in the round, we're going to make sure that all of our stitches are going in the right direction, in the same direction, so we don't have a twist in our knitting. And then we're just going to start knitting, and that will join the two sides together. When you're knitting, your yarn is on your right hand side and behind your work. This is my first stitch I'm going to knit into, so I'm using my right needle to knit into my left needle. And I'm going to go through the front of the stitch, and then I'm going to bring the yarn around the back and push it through. There's a little rhyme, a children's rhyme, that will help us remember that. And you can see how now I'm joined in the round. Okay, they won't come apart. And this is the rhyme. In the front door, around the back, out the window, off jumps Jack. In the front door refers to the tip of the needle, the right hand needle, going through the stitch. Around the back is when you take your yarn and you wrap it around the needle in the back so it comes through between the two needles. Out the window refers to pushing that needle out. Off jumps Jack is when you slip that stitch that was on the left hand needle off. So it goes like this. In the front door, around the back, out the window, off jumps Jack. In the front door, around the back, out the window, off jumps Jack. Knitters will wrap the yarn around their fingers of their right hand to maintain tension. So I wrap once around my pinky and once around my forefinger, and that helps to maintain tension, so it's not too loose and not too tight. The needle goes through the stitch, you wrap the yarn around the back needle, and it comes between the two needles. You push it through the window, and then you push off that stitch. Off jumps Jack. So in the front door, around the back, out the window, off jumps Jack. If you put your knitting down and go do something else and then come back, you want to make sure when you pick it up of two things. One, that the yarn that you're working with, called your working yarn, is to the right and the back, and that you are looking at these V's, the right side of the work. You don't want to be looking at the bumps on the back. Okay? And then you knit. So you're going to just keep knitting right around and around and around and around for 7 to 7.5 inches, measured from the edge of the work up. So just keep knitting around, and eventually you'll get to where you started, and you just keep on going around and around. It's called knitting in the round, and it's only done with this one stitch, the knit stitch.